might want to spray that.
If you don't want, just hold down the handle and spray for a while.
This is Craters of the Moon, and it's a crater.
Right, so
What we do is contemporary raku firing, and it is based loosely on 16th century Japanese techniques where the pieces are heated in a kiln, but they're pulled out of the kiln while they're still red hot. And historically, the Japanese technique would immediately be quenched in a bucket of water to freeze the colors and to when the glazes mature. What we do differently these days, and it's all thanks to a potter by the name of Paul Soldner, who in the 60s studied the technique, brought it back to America. And what we do differently these days, what the innovation he developed was what's known as a post-fire reduction. So rather than pull the pieces out red hot with the glazes molten and immediately quench them in water, we put them into a receptacle that has combustible materials, leaves, shredded paper, anything that'll burn. And of course the pot sets this material on fire. We put a lid on it. And the carbon that's created from incomplete combustion wants to attach to oxygen molecules in your clay and in your glaze, and it does has pretty spectacular effects with the finished result, especially when your glazes contain copper, which most of ours do. And then once they've sat in this post-fire reduction for an amount of time, then we do quench them like the traditional Japanese would do. But the results are very different. They tend to be very lustrous, metallic, very flashy, whereas the traditional Japanese technique was very zen, very quiet, simple forms, quiet glaze. They would never do this sort of flashy American style raku that people do today.
What I did was I made a pot, and the pot was from a two-piece mold. This mold is put together, and then I'm interested in tearing. I'm interested in the roughness of what nature gives us, as well as what I can do. Now that I have this, I'm starting to embellish it. So it will have a pattern on. It is then going to be fired into raku, and hopefully all will turn out well.
We've spent 4 weeks now making the pieces, and all the pieces are fired in our electric kiln beforehand. More survive that way. And then they've been spending time glazing their pieces. We've got a variety of glazes that they choose from. And then we take them outside with our portable kilns. They're fired with propane. And we stack the pieces in, put the kiln on, turn up the burner. When the system is hot and we've been firing for a few loads, it's really quick, about 20 minutes till the glazes melt. And then we quench the pieces, a lot like the traditional Japanese. And the reason we do that is because some of the flashier effects, some of the metallics, the lustrous effects are fugitive. If you were to let the piece cool naturally, the colors would change and turn back to green. Horsehair raku starts with simple forms that are burnished, so they've got a little bit of a shine to it already. There's no glaze involved, but it is heated in the raku kiln. And when it reaches temperature, about 1500 degrees, we pull them out with tongs, and then people apply horsehair piece by piece to the surface of the pot. Wherever the horsehair touches, obviously it burns immediately and leaves a carbon trail. We have retirees who love to work with clay and everything in between. So we've got a really wide range of ages, backgrounds, levels of experience. So really the nicest part about the whole thing is the group dynamic, how everybody comes together from different starting points, and we're in this together. Everybody helps each other, everybody encourages each other, and it's a real nice group.